Hello, and welcome to Rhode Island College Today. I'm your host, David Stedman, and our guest today is photographer and world traveler, Ellen Kawadler. How are you, Ellen?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Ellen has been a photographer for more than a decade and has won numerous awards for her work. So Ellen, I want to hear all about your work you've been in during your photography career, but first, I want to know how exactly did you get into photography?
When you pose that question, I have to go way back in my life. And I think I received my first camera about when I was 10 years old. I remember going to the New York World's Fair, and I actually have pictures back from them. So I know I had a camera in my hand. I don't remember what kind of camera it was, but I used it frequently, and I would carry it with me no matter where I went and take pictures of wherever I was at the time. I know that in high school, I took my first photography course, and at that point, I learned how to develop pictures in the darkroom. But of course, I didn't have any place I could go to do that after I took the course, so it didn't last for very long. I did travel when I was in college. I spent a year abroad in England and was able to travel all over Europe. Of course, I had a camera in hand then, and I was actually shooting slides at that point. Then, I guess I kind of dropped out of it. I always had a camera, but I really didn't know how to use a camera correctly with all the settings and everything. It was more a point and shoot type of thing that I was doing. And it wasn't until I went abroad in, I think it was about 2004, I went to Africa on a medical mission. And I spent a month near Kilimanjaro. And I had a camera with me. I thought it was a DSLR, a pretty neat and camera that had lots of different settings and everything, although I didn't really know how to use them that well. And while I was there, the person that was running the program that I was in introduced me to Photoshop and showed me what I could do with my pictures. And it was an eye-opening experience. I never knew about Photoshop. I never knew that, you took a picture, you had it developed, and that was the end of it. I didn't know that you had to do other things to it or that you could even do other things to it. So that got me pretty excited. And then in 2004, I actually, when I came back from my trip to Africa, I was working at Curry College. I was a director of health services, which has nothing to do with photography, but they did offer my ability to take free courses. So I took a class in Photoshop, and that really expanded and got things going.
Sounds like these were really defining moments for you. Let's find out more after this commercial break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Rhode Island College Today. I'm David Stedman, and we're talking to Ellen Kawadler. Now, before the break, Ellen was telling us about how she became interested in photography and how she developed some of her skills. Now, Ellen, I understand that your work has received a lot of recognition over the years. Would you mind telling us a little bit about that?
Okay. I'm going to backtrack just a little bit to when I first was introduced to Photoshop, and I came back to the States and took a Photoshop course and discovered all these what I call Photoshop gurus online that develop lots of tutorials for me to further learn about Photoshop. So I increased my Photoshop skills immensely, and I discovered this organization called the New England Camera Club Council. It's all of the New England states, and I saw that they were having a conference at UMass Amherst, and a lot of the people that I had been following online were going to be speaking there. So I thought, oh, this is a great opportunity. So I went off to this conference, and it's a 3-day conference that they actually have had for 75 years. Unfortunately, last summer was the last time they've had it, as far as they know for right now. But anyhow, I sat in these lectures, and I was just totally overwhelmed. I thought I was hearing a foreign language. I couldn't follow what they were saying or what they were talking about. And I learned then that I had a lot to learn. So, but what I did learn from that experience is that there were local camera clubs, which I never knew. So I joined a local camera club. It's called Stony Brook Camera Club, and it meets in Franklin. And from there, I developed, my skills just skyrocketed by just listening. It's a group of 160 to 200 people. And I think we have someone that specializes in every area of photography. So there's always someone that you can tap into to learn more. So I became very, very proficient at doing post-processing and much better at using my camera and started winning awards. And in the camera club, we have competitions and we have different levels. So we have level B, which is the one everybody gets put into when you first join. Then there's A and double A. Well, I quickly progressed right up to double A, which is where I've been for a number of years. And people probably hate me because I frequently win either first, second, or third prize in all the photo competitions that we have. So I've won numerous awards in the local club, and then the local club awards then go on, or your images then go up to the next level, which is the NECCC that I was talking about, and I've won awards at NECCC as well. So I've gone up to the New England branch. I've been published in the Audubon magazine, in some of the local newspapers, and I also volunteered for the Blackstone River Valley National Heritage Council. I had to make sure I could say that. And my images have been used in their publications, in their videos, and are posted in some of their facilities.
Wow, that must have been very rewarding. You say that your completed images are frequently far from your envisioned creation. Is it sometimes a difficult process to bring your photos to life?
Well, with the DSLRs, you're encouraged to shoot in RAW. And the reason you shoot in RAW is it's an undeveloped picture versus JPEG. And so all my pictures need to be developed to a certain extent. Whether it's a landscape picture and I'm just trying to bring back the natural color or the lighting or doctor it up a little. But I use a lot of plugins, and my expertise has become in painting images. So I actually take my images, and I don't paint from scratch. I take my image, put it on the monitor, and I paint over the image.
Wow.
So that's where it doesn't look like what it started out to be, but I have some kind of creative process going on in my brain that I then develop the image into. So that's what that refers to.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like you put a lot of attention and detail into your creations. But let's find out more after this commercial break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Rhode Island College Today. I'm David Stedman, and we're talking to Ellen Kawadler. Now, before the break, I was asking Ellen about her process of completing her creations. Now, Ellen has also traveled all over the world taking images for her portfolio. What were some of your favorite places that you've traveled to collect imagery from? We've already discussed Mount Kilimanjaro, but
Right.
Are there any others?
Well, I guess if I had my favorite part of photography, it's probably wildlife and landscapes, although I do a little bit of everything. So going to Ngorongoro, which was in Tanzania, and recently I went to South Africa where we went to Kruger National Park. So I was able to get images of the big five, which you always hope you can get, elephants, leopards, everything we saw there. It was just amazing. So I've also traveled, last year I went to Yosemite in the wintertime.
Wow.
To photograph the animals. It's quite a different experience because it's not like going to a wildlife park where you know you're going to see animals. In the wintertime, you either see them or you don't see them, and you only see certain ones. So you spend a lot of time traveling around the park looking for the animals and hoping that you'll find them. But I did come back with images of coyotes and wolves, buffalo, grizzly bears, but I have to admit, grizzly bears hibernate in the wintertime, so they weren't out there. But there was a wildlife refuge where they had grizzly bears, so I do have grizzly bears in the snow that I took pictures of. And where else have I been? Oh, just a few months ago, it was a different kind of adventure. It was more of a landscape adventure. I was in Death Valley for almost a week and did lots of photography there. And Death Valley, if you've never been, has all different kinds of things to photograph, from sand dunes, believe it or not, to mountains, to actually a little bit of water here and there. They have a salt, it's called the Badlands, which is where salt accumulates and forms these geometric patterns. And there's also cracked mud that forms geometric patterns. There was quite a variety of things to photograph there.
That's incredible. Has traveling ever taught you about anything about photography that you didn't know previously?
Oh, you're always learning in photography. You know, it's like learning the computer. It's always changing.
Yeah.
The post-processing software is always getting better and better. Your cameras are always getting better and better if you can afford them. The lenses that you put on your cameras, the filters, there's so much to learn. And by being out with other photographers, you're also exchanging ideas and learning while you're on, photographing.
Awesome. That's amazing. Are there any other locations or landmarks that you would like to see in the future?
Oh, I'm always looking for places to go. I'd love to go see the penguins in the Antarctica. That's a very, very expensive trip. On my bucket list is going to the Galapagos, again, to get really, really close with a lot of the wildlife that they have there. I do have a trip planned to Morocco the end of this year, but that's going to be more architecture and historical sites and things like that. Won't so much be landscape and probably not at all wildlife. Any place that I can go with my camera, I'm looking forward to doing.
That's incredible.
So,
Sounds like you have a lot of ambition with your goals of traveling and photography. We'll hear more about it after this commercial break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Rhode Island College Today. I'm David Stedman, and we're talking to Ellen Kawadler. I was just speaking with Ellen about her world travels and how they influenced her work. Ellen, are there any goals you have for your talents in the future as far as photography goes?
well, I've been retired for 7 years, and although I post my work on my own website online, I am not willing at this age and time in my life to go into selling my work and promoting my work and things like that. So my goals are just to satisfy myself and improve upon my photography. I do teach and I do get paid to do workshops. I do workshops on painting images, as I previously mentioned, on learning Photoshop and Lightroom and developing and post-processing your images better. I'm always looking to improve and I'm always expanding my repertoire. So lately I've been doing still life images. I love flowers. I love macro. I've been doing some bird photography, although it's not one of my passions, I wouldn't say. Whatever I can get my hands on, I shoot. So
That's incredible. Do you have any advice for people who want to take up photography as a hobby or as a profession even?
being in the profession and making a living doing photography is a very difficult thing to do. Yes, there are people that have excelled at it, but you really have to promote yourself and know the social media avenues and really use them to your benefit. I really highly recommend camera clubs. And everybody that joins our camera club says the same thing. Why didn't I find this camera club so much earlier? I have just learned so much. Our particular camera club meets every single week, which is a lot. Not all camera clubs do that. But we have workshops. We go out and shoot together. We do meetups. We have external speakers that come in that are world-renowned. We have internal speakers. We have the competitions that I mentioned. There's just so much to take advantage of, and it's such an awesome way to learn photography. It really is.
That's incredible. So this all sounds like very helpful advice, Ellen. And I want to thank you for appearing on the show today, and it was really such a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
And I want to thank you for tuning in to Rhode Island College Today. I will see you next time. Goodbye.